Aloha once again, friends and family. What do they mean when they say there is nothing new under the sun? Does that mean everything is old hat and mundane? What it means is there are no new elements being created. So, in other words, whatever we're co creating, we're using the frequencies that align with the cosmic laws. So, in that sense, there's nothing new under the sun, but there is something new every day, or there can be. Even Jesus says, "Behold, all things are made new." So, what is an example of something new under the sun? Well, if you took the elements of color and you made paint with them, and then you started combining those colors to make a painting, and you finished making that painting, that's new, isn't it? Isn't that new? Nobody's ever made it. So in just that very same way, we're taking the colors of our chakras and we're painting this experience. So behold, all things are made new from this point forward. Know that. Every concurring moment is new because we're taking these elements and we're combining them to create, a beautiful painting or a crappy, dark painting. And even that's not crappy. And it might be dark, but I guess, I won't say it's crappy because, again, what people do with their free will is their business, right? Not mine. But I know what beauty is, and I know what I would consider beautiful. Excuse me. Darn throat. So that got me realizing about these densities. We say, or I've been saying, that people seem to be stuck in third density. Stuck in third density in the third dimension. All right, it stands to reason. In third density, people are only using their first three chakras. And I won't even say they're using them, because to use something means you have knowledge of its function, so to speak, even though this is intuitive. So to be using them, so they're unconsciously using them, and they're only using three, the first three. All right, so fourth density then would be moving to the next chakra. See, I think though somehow I think it proceeds from top toward middle and bottom toward middle. So I don't think the heart chakra is fourth density. I think fourth density would be the top, what they call the crown chakra, because it has to do with your head and your thinking and your brain and your third eye. That all activates, I would say, I don't know, heart, mind, gut mind, maybe all the minds activate simultaneously. However it is, fourth density is going to be using 4 chakras, or accessing. Let us say your subconscious or your unaware self is able to access, that much power to have you be in third density, fourth density, and just move on up. So eventually we have all 7 chakras activated, and we're using them. See, that implies consciousness and intent and will, not just, well, this is the way life happens and I just respond to it. Right? So 7 is also known as the number of completion. So you become complete when we become complete when we're fully back to triunity, the knowledge of the triunity of self. Again, made in the image of God, that is a triune being that's metaphorically been represented in a literal way. See, a lot of people can't grasp the abstract and all the abstractions of spirit and frequencies and energies and invisible stuff, stuff that's invisible, but all of that invisible stuff has everything to do with all the visible stuff. We can't, omit the invisible and say, well, no, everything is just what I see. And again, with your senses, everything's about these physical senses that go with the avatar body. Very interesting. And if you think of the elements, earth, air, water, fire, think about the elements, right? These are the fundamental frequencies before they're manifest. Before they're manifest, there's these fundamental frequencies. And we could say laws, it's the cosmic law. It's the way everything works. So when that frequency of fire comes into manifestation and we know it as fire, it has the ability, is it good or bad? See, fire can kill stuff, right? Fire can burn you to death. So doesn't that make it bad? Well, no, fire can also heat you up in the wintertime and keep you alive. Right? So it's a fundamental principle of how physicality operates. It's not good or evil. It is what it is. And so we then take that is what it is and we use it however we want to. And see, then whatever belief you put into that will become real to you. So if you go around thinking fire is evil, you're probably going to get burned. And then you're going to validate your belief. You're going to say, see, I told you fire was evil. So apply this to anything, any belief, any train of thinking or mode of thinking or mode of belief. Test yourself. Test your own beliefs and test yourself. And you'll find out that, yeah, this all does work according to cosmic law. And it has everything to do with the invisible, what we call the invisible. But there's a lot to the invisible, and there's a lot, it's not invisible. You can see it. That's the thing. You can see it. Some can see it. Anybody can see it, but not anybody wants to see it. Not everybody is willing to do what is required to see it. So, according to those very same cosmic laws and fundamental elements, we get to the finality of it, of where this all leads. Like, where is this headed? And it's headed to the knowing that we and God are one. See, it's headed to the remembrance that if we and God are one, then we have God's power. You have the power of God. And see, since it's been so distorted as to what God is, and so what would you mean by saying that you have the power of God? But in the real world, man, you know exactly what that means, and you know it with your heart. You know that God is not denying anything to you. You know that God is not keeping anything from you. You know that God doesn't have anything He's not willing to tell you. It's just probably the method. How is He going to tell you? Are you going to do some ritualistic thing that then invokes some deity to then impress upon your mind something? And then you say, God has spoken to me. That's not how God speaks. So we got to know how God speaks. How does God move? How does this power work? It has everything to do with self-realization. We've got some beautiful, beautiful examples in the world of self-realized humans. And see, they're all individual and unique and new because they took these elements, these principles, these cosmic laws, they combined their chakra colors to create a beautiful, amazing story. Because all of their stories are pretty, you know, intense, to say the least, and magnificent and loaded with information. See, but can we decipher when we look at their painting and we see their combinations of colors and the way that they've combined the elements and the whole orchestration of the picture? It's deeply encoded, and there's many layers to it, and each of the layers will give you knowledge and insight. Unless we're just, again, in third density with just barely access to 3 chakra energies, and we're looking at it through this dull mind, and we're just seeing a 2-dimensional image, and we form an opinion really quickly and move on. See, that's the way we're seeing not weird, but that's the way one tends to look at everything, which is just a greater version of the painting. And not really not see the beauty, not see the hidden meaning, not decipher all of and see what's the purpose of all of that, of the whole painting. What is it? What's the final thing it leaves us with? Do we see that? Do we intuit that? Do we know that? Do we feel that? What is that? What is that finality to the whole painting? It's love. It's love. The whole painting. The whole purpose of the whole painting was love. The whole purpose of the whole creation was love. The whole purpose of manifesting in human form was love. The whole reason to become a triune being and enter the real world is love. The whole reason for speaking about it to anyone is love. So then you see, wow, man, all the cosmic laws, everything flowing from source, all the way to me, and then on into my sight of whatever I'm viewing. The whole darn thing is, was, and shall be love. So the very first idea or thought that comes into your mind after this, if it's not in line with that picture, then ask yourself, why am I thinking this? If you start having some thoughts that are against yourself and you're calling yourself stupid in your mind or whatever, see, that's another thing, mistakes or imperfection. Like, there is nothing perfect. Nothing. But there is, why is there nothing perfect? Because perfect is not real. See, there's only our idea of what we would say. To me, that is perfect. Like, if I could pick a tomato right now and I look at it and I say, man, this is a perfect tomato. To me, that is a perfect tomato. It's just a way of expressing, high regard for something. But it doesn't, perfect doesn't even exist. It's not real. There's just layers and levels. And see, we're pushing these levels as far, well, they can't, we're pushing them farther because there's no end to where this painting continues. This process continues, this beauty continues, this love continues, and as we evolve and everything evolves, I use that term loosely, it becomes better and better and better. See, when we've got heaven manifested on earth and we're back in the real world and we're all moving and having our being in love for ourselves and one another, which would be to say, God. We're loving God with all of our being. That'll be an evolution of this place. See, and that's not far away. I know what your mind thinks. I've had all the same thoughts. I've heard some of the same news. But all that's contrary to the cosmic laws, so it must be an illusion. It must be untrue. And see, if I dwell on what is untrue, I will co-create it, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that ever again. Because now I know. See, I know that I know now. And see, once we know that we know, then whatever it is that would be the proof comes. So you don't get the proof first and then say, now I know that I know because God proved it to me. No, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. First, you come to the truth. First, you awaken. First, you, whatever it is, confess, repent. These are just words of change of direction, psychologically and spiritually. And we could say in relation to God, even though, again, many images of what God is in people's thinking is a deity, and that's not God. God is not a deity. Know the difference. Understand the difference. That's why once you self-realize, you're not going to go around, you know, uh, shining so brightly that no one can look at you, look towards you. You know, you'd blind them. That would be a deity, you know. God is man. God is man. But do we see God in man? And again, when we look at the self realized men, we do see God. Okay, there's your proof. There's your proof if you need proof first. So, oh wow, we got a hummingbird over at the, see if I can zoom in on it. Hummer over at the spider flowers. And I'll just give you a quick look at the garden. A quick little walkthrough. Love and light as always. Keep on rocking in the real world. I took out the acorn squash, by the way. It's just not worth it. It attracts way too many squash bugs, and they get infested real easily. Hard to maintain, and what you get in return is not that great. So I got rid of them. But I do have melons. Melons. Y'all want to see my melons? I have melon plants. I don't have melons yet, but I've got 4 different kinds of melons here. All, you know, the honeydew type melons. I'm not so much into cantaloupe. It's all right, but I prefer the honeydew types. The licorice plant. Looks like smoke. All right. In eternal love and gratitude, we depart until next time, my beautiful friends and family.